Hello comic book fans, I'll never get tired of praising this Hellboy library series. This is volume 4, which I would like to call the Richard Corben volume, because of two stories that were drawn from by Richard Corben. First and foremost, it's The Crooked Man, which is set in the Appalachian Mountains, in the Appalachian Woods. And Richard Corben tells us in the annotations in the back that he always wanted to do something like that with Hellboy, to portray him as an aimless wanderer. And that's definitely something you can get out of that here. I know this word isn't fitting, but this road movie feeling of going to places and leave them behind. Here we have some witch balls and the skin of a witch, and this is really yucky, because wait, here a raccoon finds this skin and slips inside of that skin and revives that witch body in this way. So definitely something you don't forget so easily. It's difficult to get us horror comic readers, I guess, who have read everything. Here's The Crooked Man. He looks incredibly goofy, I have to admit, but in the context of the story, it's pretty chilling and not nerve-wracking, but fun in a horror comic way. And Richard Corben even achieves to smuggle in some Meg the Hag character, who he likes to use as a narrator character. So this is a really wonderful story, and it won some Eisner Award back in the day for the best limited series. It ran over 3 issues, and that prize was well deserved. The reason why Mignola didn't draw all the stories here, and especially The Crooked Man and others, were that for him the movie years has begun with the Hellboy movies and stuff, and so he couldn't draw on that regular basis. When he drew something like the Penang, which is a riff on a Malaysian folktale, he seems to have drawn it more for training purposes, but he was unable to really tackle the big story arcs that would drive the Hellboy mythos forward. The Hydra and the Lion was a story that was goes back to some ideas of his little daughter, of Mignola's little daughter. The next story, drawn by Craig Russell, The Vampire of Prague, is a bit unusual for Hellboy stories, because it's very light-hearted in tone, and the drawings are almost funny, even though the stuff he depicts isn't as funny as it looks on the first glance. Hey, look at that bat when it first sees Hellboy. This story really has grown on me, because it's a funny breath of fresh air amidst these other grim and gritty stories, and it has as well some heavy boom in it. But I still think that Craig Russell didn't really get that Hellboy character totally right, because when I'm looking at him here, he looks really like a normal dude. Okay, athletic and red, but too normal for me. That's my only critic point. Else, this is a nice little short story about a vampire in Prague. Some cartoony interludes. Yeah. And then we have They That Go Down to the Sea in Ships, drawn by Jason Sean Alexander. And he has a different art style as well. It's about the skull of Blackbeard, the pirate, who strolls on the earth without his head in search of the head. And some fiend has found his skull and is possessed by that skull until he finds his bitter end. And there's a bit Ape Sapien in it, and Hellboy, of course. Nice little story and interesting art. That's Blackbeard, in case you didn't have guessed it before. So, and another, then one more Mignola short story, Dr. Karp's Experiment, which works interestingly for some pages as a silent comic. So much we are used to Mignola storytelling, I guess, that no words are necessary sometimes. And he's proving here why he's Richard Corben here, Richard Corben there. He is the ultimate Hellboy artist. And that title is funny, The Ghoul or Reflection on Death, and the Poetry of Worms, because we used to live in a German city called Worms. In German, it's a pretty this name doesn't say anything. It's just Worms. But if you're an Englishman, you think, of course, it's pretty funny. Like this Austrian town that's called Fucking. So, yeah, I'm rambling along. In the Chapel of Moloch is a story I really like. It's about an artist who wants to create in a little town, and he rips off Goya a lot until dark magic almost gets him. It's a lot of Mignola in this book, but the real eye candy, the real surprises, nevertheless, are delivered by Richard Corben. Makoma, or A Tale Told by a Mummy in the New York City Explorers Club on August the 16th, 1993, is a story with a frame story drawn by Mignola, but then we flip to Hellboy in Africa and to a pool of dead crocodiles, out of which our friend Hellboy rises, but he's now called Makoma and a figure in an African folktale. And this feeling, there he looks pretty goofy yet, but Corben got his Hellboy pretty good very quick. This was actually his first story with Hellboy, and The Crooked Man came afterwards. So this is really typical Corben, but with David Stewart coloring, and as in The Crooked Man, this combination of David Stewart's coloring and Richard Corben's art works magnificently. Really wonderful. And here, that's so Corben, but in the Hellboy universe, and that's really fine. Yeah. Two of my favorite comic geniuses working together. This is really fantastic. And this free-floating feel of an African folktale is so well used here. That's really fun. So, what else here? Yeah, afterward by Mignola himself, some story notes, and of course sketches. And we have, of course, here some sketches by Mignola, a lot of sketches by Mignola himself, but some of Richard Corben. As usually, the sketchbook part is always very rewarding if you take your time to look at even some little drawings of houses or animals and the usual monsters and goofy characters from Mignola. There's not so much from Corben here. Oh, this is watercolor sketch from Mignola, and another one. Here we have some Corben drawings. These are really nice. Some of the crooked man and some of the witches. The covers for the Crooked Man. This is the cover for the Crooked Man 2, with some cover sketches. Nice fun little character, huh? So, let's see. And here's Mike Mignola's cover for The Crooked Man, the trade paperback. So, and that was my quick overview of Hellboy Volume 4. With the Crooked Man and the Troll Witch, and some other stories, of course. Thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.